started. Welcome, everyone. Joe Martinez here. This is our Thursday morning production call. We got a great one set up for y'all. 10 steps of how to run a great appointment. Super helpful for especially new agents and really anyone that if you ever feel going to an appointment and you feel unprepared, these are 10 steps that again, just make you feel comfortable. Make sure you are ready to take an application. Uh, Over the years, one of the things we've noticed is uh, a lot of agents won't write a policy, and it's simply because they weren't prepared. And because you're not prepared, you don't realize you actually turn down the application somewhere in your process. You're not doing it intentionally, but your fear, right, or your unpreparedness is it'll make you say something that kind of pushes the application off or the client, right, to rebook or something like that, and then all of a sudden you don't have an application. One of the biggest things in all sales is taught, right, is assumption, and this helps you have a lot more assumption in your appointment. So it'll help you write more applications. So before we dig into it, I always like to start with, this is an hour-long call. Please make sure you have a pen and notepad out. You are not going to remember all 10 steps and kind of the details in all of them, right? So make sure you're taking notes. Also, we're not asking you to change your entire appointment, right? Not right out of the gate. So what you want to do is write all 10 steps down. We're going to go through them slowly. But just take 2 or 3 things that you know you're not doing, and we'll kind of highlight some of the most important ones. And then just start applying 2 to 3 per appointment, right? Do not go revamp your whole appointment. It's going to throw you off. You are already writing applications. So what we're just trying to do is help you help more families, right? Little by little. And then if any of them help you, what we humbly ask is if you could post that on Band. We are a large community in the Cook hierarchy, and it does help everyone. If you post, hey, this little nugget helped me help another family, and that way other agents can see that, anyone that can't hop in here. So we're going to get started. So 10 steps of running a great appointment. So we're going to dig straight into number 1. Okay, so number 1, write that down. Number 1 step is we're going to talk a little bit about booking the appointment. And also, I want to say, if y'all have any questions in between any of these, please unmute. I want to keep it super interactive. As long as it's topic related, please unmute and ask a question. It's hard for me to keep up with the chat sometimes, so please feel free to unmute. So step 1 is going to be booking your appointment. A couple of things y'all want to know on this one. The first one is making sure you're booking Zoom appointments. Okay, there is nothing like a Zoom appointment. It has a higher close rate. So just realize every time you book a phone appointment, you have taken your close rate down by almost 30%. That's a huge number in sales. Okay, so if you run a Zoom appointment, you have 30% chance more of closing it. Every time you run a phone appointment, the numbers are the numbers, right? You are lowering your chance, right? You're by 30% is the number we've shown in our agency. That's huge, right? So just make sure you're booking Zoom appointments. The biggest trick or pushback that we hear with when we're booking an appointment, it's usually because we're asking, right? So when you're booking the appointment, do not say, right, once you've got a time, do not say, hey, so we can run this over Zoom or we can do a phone appointment. Which one would you like? Everyone is going to say a phone appointment. Okay, doing it is not an option. When you are booking the appointment, the trick we use is verify their email, right? Like, hey, okay, so I got this for 3:00, Eduardo. What's a good email address to send you the confirmation and my information for our appointment? And then they give you the email address. And then you let them know, hey, in that email address, like I said, it's going to have all my information. It's also going to have a Zoom link on there. And all you have to do is click on it, and I'll be able to share my screen and go over your options. But I'm very assumptive. We're in control. We are not asking. If you ask, do you want to run a Zoom appointment or do you want a phone appointment? Everyone's going to say phone. Okay. If you tell them, hey, so this is going to be a Zoom appointment, what's a good email address to send you? All of a sudden, no one has an email, right? You're going to get the, oh, I don't know the email off the top of my head. Just go ahead and text me that. Okay. So the trick is make sure, right, once you've confirmed the appointment, Scott, what's a good email address to send you the appointment confirmation? Once you've confirmed the email, then you tell them what's in the email. Scott, inside that email, you're going to see, right, all my information, and you're also going to see the Zoom link on there. All you have to do is click on it, and then I'll be able to share my screen and go over the options. Okay, so super important you do it in that order so that you don't get the resistance. Look, we book a ton of appointments. Everyone has an email, and everyone runs a Zoom appointment. If you feel right? People can't run Zoom appointments. I promise you it's you. Okay. Everyone, I don't care how old they are, they run Zoom appointments. Everyone is running doctor Zoom appointments, eye doctor Zoom appointments. Okay. Everyone knows how to hop on Zoom. And it's super easy. Make them feel comfortable. If you get any resistance, be like, hey, super simple, Josh. All you have to do is click on it and it'll let you share your screen. If there's any trouble at 3 o'clock tomorrow, don't worry. I'll give you a call and I'll walk you through that. And if they really can't hop in, that's all you do. You call them and say, hey, open up your email, click the button, ta-da, and they're on Zoom. Okay, it is not that hard. It's going to help you so much more. The show rate goes up. The close rate, which is most important, goes up. So making sure you are booking Zoom appointments is the number one thing on the booking. The next part is verifying if there's a spouse. Okay. And there's also a good order of doing that as well. Okay. When you're booking the appointment, make sure you follow the script, but then also make sure you verify all the other information first. Do not dig into right away saying, right, so you've booked the 3 o'clock appointment and then just dig in, hey, do we have a spouse? Okay, there's a little trick to when we're booking the appointment. The whole thing is we want to make them feel comfortable. If you instantly start asking questions that you don't have the answer to, they're going to feel uncomfortable and not want to book the appointment, right? Because now all of a sudden you are somebody that doesn't know them and doesn't have their information. So it's very important that when you start following the script, you start giving them information that we know 100% is true, right? What does that look like, right? So if you're following our script, it's going to, hey, 3 o'clock works for you. Great, Amber, thank you. Let me verify some of the information I have. I got you on, right? 1934 East Easy Street. Looks like I have you in Bullhead City. Is that right? Perfect. Looks like I have the mortgage right around 305,000. Yep, awesome. Looks like, right? I got you at the age of 65. Correct. Right? I've made them now know that I have information and they trust me, right? Because it's now information that I'm not asking them questions for. I'm just verifying what I have. Okay. That's when you would step into, hey, do we have a spouse or anyone else? And that's the way I like to ask it. Do we have a spouse or anyone else? I personally do not say, do we have anyone else on the mortgage? Because what they're going to say is they're like, nope, no one else is on the mortgage, just me. Right. And that doesn't mean they don't have a spouse. That just means there's no one else on the mortgage. Right. So I like to say, hey, do we have a spouse or anyone else? Then they say yes. Then I verify, hey, how old is she? Right. Or he, whatever it may be. And then, right. And then I dig into the health conditions. Have we ever had the heart attack, stroke, cancer, diabetes, whatever it may be? Super important to verify all that stuff. Again, because we got to be able to prep and we have to be able to show them the right option, right? Has anyone ever had some options ready and then all of a sudden we're not able to write the policy that we have prepped for? It's usually just because we didn't have the correct information up front. So just making sure, right, when we're booking the appointment, we are verifying all that, right? The way I love to ask it, have we ever had any health conditions like heart attack, stroke, cancer, diabetes, and then the most important part is, or anything else like that? Okay. If you don't add that fifth one, anything else like that, they're going to say, nope, I'm perfectly healthy. I don't have the heart attack, stroke, or cancer. And they're technically telling you the truth, right? Because you said, right? You said, Amber, do I have a heart attack, stroke, or cancer? And I don't have any of those. right? But then they could have lupus, they can have this, or they can have that. So super important to add at the very end or anything else like that, right? If not, that's where you get those good old, no, no, I'm perfectly healthy. And then you're writing the application and, oh no, I'm on dialysis, right? I'm like stage 4 kidney, right? So just making sure you're adding the anything else like that is super important. Write down those details. If they say yes to any of that, make sure you follow it up with when you were diagnosed and when was the last time you were treated for it, right? So when were you diagnosed and when was the last time you were treated? Those things are going to matter on what policy we can prep, right, and show them. And then finally, the most important one, because 80% of our business is going to be critical period, final expense, equity protection, whatever you want to call it. And so we need the monthly mortgage payment. That is super important, right? The monthly mortgage payment, right? How much are you paying a month on the house? Once you have verified all this, then, right, so that's step one. And then making sure you send that email, right? If we're doing Zoom appointments, making sure you're sending the email. And then on the booking appointments, I always love to add making sure we're sending reminders for your appointments. If you're on Funnel, it automatically sends a text reminder. On top of that, all of us still personally from our cell phone send a text reminder. Okay. This gives them our cell phone. If they're going to be a client of yours, you want them to have your cell phone. We're not trying to hide from the client, right? So they're going to get our cell phone. And I always text them the Zoom link as well, right? So that gives me a huge advantage for me to just say, hey, just click the button on your phone and we're good to go, right? And that's how I run and I only run almost Zoom. It's so rare for me to run a phone appointment. Okay. So making sure and the reminders, right? You should send one right when you book the appointment. They instantly get the email you send them. It's great to send them another text message, right? Just appointment confirmation. But the most important one is 1 hour before the appointment. Okay, so please write that down 1 hour before the appointment. This is super important. It has to be 1 hour before the appointment. Okay. If you try to send them all in the morning, right, and you have evening appointments, if you send out text verification or confirmations in the morning, you're going to get text back already at 9 a.m. or 10 a.m. Hey, I need to cancel my appointment because I'm busy tonight. They don't even know they're busy, but they just like, I don't want to deal with that. Okay. So do not send them all in the morning. I know sometimes we want to consolidate our time, but we have tried it. It did not work, right? Make sure you send it 1 hour before the appointment and then don't wait the 1 hour is the best time, right? If you do it too close, you're catching them by surprise. The 1 hour is a huge game, right? Noreen put that it's a game changer. It really does make a big difference. It's perfect time for them not to cancel on you, and it's plenty of time for them to make sure they prepare for it. So 1 hour before that text reminder, it's going to absolutely change it. And if anyone can post in the chat that text reminder, that way all of y'all can have it. I don't know if Amber's listening or James, if y'all can post that in there, that'd be great. But super simple text, right? It's just their name. This is for your mortgage protection appointment at blank time. Please send a C, please reply C, right, to confirm your appointment. And it's the greatest thing when you send that text reminder and a few minutes later you get a little C back, right? That means they are ready to go. So make sure you're sending that text. So now we're going to go on to number 2. Number 2 is going to be prepping.
Hey, Joe, real quick.
Yes, sir.
Sorry. Whether you get a C or not, we're still going as if they're going to be there, right?
Absolutely, 100%. These are just text reminders. Some folks don't respond, right? Doesn't mean you're not calling them or anything like that. Arthur, you got your hand up.
Yes, my friend. I'm just setting up. I got my funnel set up. I've been making calls. How do you set up the text option? Because I can't text even though I have two numbers.
Make sure you have the A2P compliance done.
That done also. Okay, I just got to figure it out. I've been trying to go through all the trainings that learn that. I just don't know.
It automatically does it. If it won't do it until your A2P is approved, though, right? So if you're on,
Gotcha.
you got to make sure it does take a couple of days sometimes. So make sure that's approved. And then if you don't see it, go into the chat into funnel, that little corner bottom right, and they'll make sure your text is working.
Thank you, sir.
Great question. I like it. Awesome. Anything else on booking the appointment and making sure we're verified all that? This is super, super important. It's all about being prepared and feeling the confidence and right of being able to run an appointment. Again, I can't tell you the difference of when somebody's properly and or prepared and ready to go, how they write an application, and the ones that are just trying to get it all together at the very end, 30 minutes before the appointment, we just, right, they're not going to write an application. They're not ready. So number two, we're going to go to prep. Again, this is where all your confidence is going to come in so that you're not scrambling. Okay. So prepping for your appointment. First of all, when you're booking appointments, especially if you're brand new, ideally, and I personally don't book same day appointments. All my appointments are always for tomorrow. I want time to prep for my appointments. Okay. So what we always teach is if you're dialing today, you are booking all your appointments for tomorrow. Make sure you give them an hour in between each appointment, right? You don't need more than that. And then if you're able to book a whole bunch of appointments, you can start booking them at the 30-minute mark, right? So when y'all see that I post, I have 12 appointments for Monday, right? They're just every 30 minutes. Okay. Do not get scared. If you're booking that many appointments, I wish we had a problem that they showed up. Okay. We have less than a 50% show rate. Okay. If they all showed up, we'd be millionaires instantly. Okay. They're not going to show up. Don't worry. You're going to send them a text reminder. If they send two C's back to back, you should be super excited. Right. And guess what? If you're 15 minutes late, it's okay. You're a busy person. They'll be fine. Okay. So booking the appointment and prepping for it. So again, you're booking them for tomorrow. And then the prep process. Okay. The reason you want to do it for tomorrow is do not prep for appointments by yourself. Okay. There's too many of us writing 30, 40, $50,000 a month in production. Why wouldn't you want our help? Okay. We have set everything up to make sure we can help you maximize your production. And James just posted in the chat that text reminder. So please, obviously, that's his information. Don't send out James or he's going to take your application. Right, just making sure you're prepping for it. And so again, you're booking them for tomorrow. And the reason you're going to do that is when you're done booking your appointments, that's when you're going to get with your upline and say, hey, I have 6 appointments, 5 appointments for tomorrow, right? When do you have a minute to help me prep? It takes about 2 to 3 minutes, if that, to prep per appointment, as long as we have all the right information, right? And again, the reason you're doing it for tomorrow is so that you and your upline have tonight, right? Today or later in the evening. And we also have tomorrow morning to prep. So we have plenty of time to not be prepping for an appointment 30 minutes before the appointment. We do not want you prepping 30 minutes before an appointment. You're not going to be in a good mindset and be prepared. Okay. What does it take? What does that look like? Again, it's going to take 2 to 3 minutes, if that, per appointment to prep. Right. So Danielle, right, if she was going to be my upline, I'm going to call her and, hey, I have 5 appointments for tomorrow. Let's start with the first one. Right. I have Mary and John. They're 65. Right. He's 65. She's 62. They're both in good health. The only thing they said was they have diabetes and they're on pills. Right. And their mortgage is $150,000 and the mortgage payment's $1,500. Okay, what do you think I should use? And then they're going to tell you, right? We're going to use Eagle Select and we're going to add the accidental, right? Once they tell you which ones you're going to use, they're going to let you go and quote them, right? We want you to start learning how to quote. We teach you what website. Once y'all have decided on what policies you're going to use, if you have never written them, or if you've only written it once and you still don't feel comfortable, I highly, highly suggest go log into the carrier, go to the application, write the application. Every single app out there, you can go in there, open it up, and just type in fake information and almost go through the entire thing, right? Just don't hit submit at the very end. It will let you go through the majority of it. If you're doing Americo has the demo application where it lets you go from the start to the end, right? Do not practice on your clients. You want to sound confident. You want to sound like you know what you're doing, and you want to be confident, most importantly, right? So do not practice on your client. Find out what application, what carrier you're going to use. Find your logins, right? And I'm going to dig a little bit into logins, right? You make sure once you have your carrier that you know how to get into it, right? Everything is not straight into HQ. You need to have all the carriers on your bookmarks on Google Chrome so that you're ready. That this is part of prepping for it, right? You need to have that. I'm going to share my screen really quick just to show y'all what that looks like. Everybody can see that? Somebody give me a thumbs up. Perfect. Right? So I have all my carrier, everything, my business is all in bookmarks up here. Okay. I don't have to memorize any passwords, any username, none of that. It does it for me. Thank God, because I would never remember. Right? But see, if I need to log into Opt, I have it right here. Password is saved and everything. If I'm going to go write an AMAM application, same thing, it's saved. I can easily pivot into carriers. Mutual of Omaha, it goes to the website, has all my username, everything's ready to go. Americo, make your life simple by having all these bookmarks. Once you get to the website, if you don't know how, you just easily click this little star up here on the right-hand side. And then you can name it, right? I name mine Moo, SBLI, Americo, and I have everything, my funnel, my Zoom, all the carriers, Quility HQ. It is so simple, right? I can go to Corebridge, I can go to whatever I need to, and it logs me in super fast. Okay, that is, again, one of the things of prepping for your appointments. So you're not scrambling, how do I get to this website, going to HQ, trying to, right? Sales tools, carrier, let me find Mutual of Omaha, bookmark all that stuff. Be prepared for your appointment. Once you have that locked in and you have your quotes, prep with your slides, right? I highly suggest y'all use slides, right? We have the PowerPoint presentation. If you're not using the PowerPoint presentation, at least have one slide that you can share your screen so that you can show the client what their options are. Okay. If you're following the script, you should also be making them write this stuff down. So before I get to the options, the first thing I tell them is, Amber, I got your options just about done. Can you go ahead and grab a pen and paper? Because I'm going to have you write this down and we're going to go over some options, right? It's making sure you are prepared and you have all that ready for them. That's it for number 2 on prep. Any questions on prepping and getting ready for your appointments?
Where do you get the slides from?
The slides are going to be in sales training, but they're also, Esther, like for you, they're going to be in our reference sheet from the email we sent you, right? The one-stop shop, and you have the presentations in there and everything saved. So I can help you in a little bit with that. But if not, they're all in HQ, right? When y'all go to sales tools, y'all can download the PowerPoint presentation as well.
Thank you.
Yep.
Hey, Joe, I'm trying to do like an e-app with Americo. What is the social security number you put in? Like, because it
If you
needs
do
to
the
verify.
demo, you got to go to demo. If you do the demo one, it lets you put in a fake one and it still goes through.
Gotcha.
Yep. Right. I think they separate it. So when you go into the landing page of Americo now, you'll see agent tools, and you have to move over a little bit to the right, and then you're going to see agent tools demo. And then that one's all a fake app. It lets you put in everything fake in it. It's cool. It sends you the text reminder or the text to put in that you'll get from the client for signatures and everything. Let's see. All right. Anything else on prep before we move on? All right. So now we are ready to go. This is step number 3. We have booked an appointment. We've sent out reminders. We are prepared and ready to go. Now they're going to show up to our Zoom appointments, right? So step 3 is going to be rapport. Do not skip out on rapport, okay? There are too many yeses that have happened up until here for them to show up for your appointment and not write an application. Okay, these folks are serious. They want it. You may not feel that, but I promise you there's too many yeses for when they actually show up for your appointment. These are serious buyers. If they're not buying, it's only for 2 things, right? The good old saying is 3. But the third one is they don't like you, right? We're not going to talk about that one. We're going to talk about the 2 reasons they're not going to buy. One, they don't trust you or feel comfortable with you, or it's just simply not for them, right? Outside of their price range. Okay. But now it's our job to get them to feel comfortable. And that's going to be in rapport. So there's nothing like rapport on Zoom. Okay. Let Zoom do the heavy lifting. You are not, if you're doing it over the phone, you better be really good. Okay. I don't suggest it at all. When they see you on here on Zoom, there is nothing like it. Highly suggest you do not use a blurred background. Okay. That looks a little fishy. All right. Or a fake background. Okay. Look, there's nothing wrong with your background. I don't care where you are. Right. Like Scott's in his room and you can see his wall. please let your background do the heavy lifting of rapport building. What do I mean by that? Let them know you're real. Okay. You don't need a fake background. You don't need to look like you're in the beach, right? You are running an appointment. You want them to know that you are a real person, right? They get to see my agency. It's super cool. Look, with like $15, you can have a pretty decent background, right? You can go to the dollar store, one frame, let me see, frame your insurance license, right? I think those SFG, if you see that right there, I think I paid like $1.50 or something from Dollar General. I found the SFG and that looks super cool, right? Like make your right family pictures. These are all my family pictures right here. So they get to say, these are my little kids, right? I'll grab the picture and be like, here, right? These are my 4 kids. Let Zoom do the heavy lifting for rapport. They want to know you are a real person. So a couple things on the rapport. A great rule of thumb, 5 to 10 minutes. Okay. No less than 5, no more than 10 minutes. If you're building too much rapport, they're going to become your real best friend. And they're going to be like, I'll get it next month. Okay. So we also don't want that much rapport. Okay. So we want 5 to 10 minutes is a really good one. And then the really cool trick that we learned in some sales training is 7 questions. Okay, you got to at least ask 7 questions to get them going and talking. Okay, inside of the real script, there's already pre-built rapport questions. Use those, right? But the good old ones is, what do you know about your best friend? And then having some tactic on information that we're gonna need, right? So what is this gonna sound like? I always like to do it with James, right? Because at the very beginning, it's gonna be dry. Okay, what do I mean by that? It's gonna sound like this. So, hey James, thanks for hopping on. Looks like I got you out in Bullhead City. Is that right?
Yeah, that's correct.
That's it. 3 words, and they answer the question. Sweet. Well, what how long have you been in this home? Is it new?
Yeah, it's new. About 2 years.
Right? It still feels really dry. Okay. Well, did you originally live in Bullhead, or where did you come from?
I'm originally from Texas, from San Antonio.
Right? Still, we need more. We need him talking. Oh, okay, San Antonio. You know what? I'm from Texas myself. I have about 20 years out here. What brought you here?
Just work really and family. So during the pandemic, just ended up selling my house. So I didn't know what was gonna go on, so maybe I should sell my house.
We're in question number 4. Question number
Be
5.
closer to family. Yeah.
Oh, family. Some of my family moved out here too. I think I moved out here first, then my parents, and then my sister and my brother followed. Any of yours came over?
My parents my brother moved first, and my parents kind of same thing as yours. Crazy.
Weird, right? And then right again, once you're going into these questions, by the time you get to 7, the whole point is you want them talking. Well, I moved out here. You know what? I'm glad I'm out here now, James, because the humidity in Texas was insane.
Yeah, it's real bad over there. I don't miss the traffic, that's for sure, and everything's close by. Um, miss some of the food, but luckily I know how to cook, so made
And
it
see,
better.
I didn't even ask any of those questions. Now they're just building rapport with me, right? And that's question 6 and 7 on its own. Oh, I busted a Ken 6, 7, right? Right. So again, right, you want to get to that 7th question. That's a great way to build rapport. Something I don't know if y'all were paying attention to was I was also giving him information about me. Okay, so I want y'all to write this down. You got to make a deposit before you make a withdrawal. Got to make a deposit before you make a withdrawal. So everything you expect them to tell you, you better be ready to give them and give it to them first so that you don't have resistance, right? So if y'all paid attention, right, I said, hey, I moved from Texas, right? Or I moved first. Where did you come from? Right? Or, hey, my family moved out here. How about yours? Right? And then I'm going to say, hey, well, I have a couple of kids. I got 4, 2 13s, and 11 and a 7. Any kids for you? Right? I am giving them my information first, and then I'm making a withdrawal. So they tell me absolutely everything I need to know. Right? That is super important so that they feel comfortable. one of the most important things too, as you're building rapport, is are you getting information that you're going to be able to use in the appointment, right? So if y'all paid attention, where did you move from? Where's your family at? Right? I'll dig into how many kids do you have? Who lives in your home, right? Who lives with you? Because these are all things that when we're running the appointment, we're going to be able to use, right? If it's an older couple and they're like, yeah, I moved from Wisconsin, my kids are up there, I'm down here, and they're giving me all this information. These are great things that I'm going to be able to use in the appointment, because if it's like a single person and the kids, right, the kids are not outside of the state, right, I'm going to be able to say, hey, you know what? They don't even live in the house with you, right? We don't need the full mortgage payoff. We just need a couple of months worth of payments, because more than likely they're going to sell it. And they're the ones that are telling me this information, right, from building rapport. Let's see here, get them talking. Any questions? That one's pretty simple, right? Building rapport, 5 to 7 minutes, 7 questions long, or 7 questions right in, and then making deposits before you make withdrawals. They should know by the end of your appointment, they really should be your best friend, right? I know we joke about it, but you should know just about everything about them, the names of their dogs, right? Whatever's important to them, whatever you know about them, they should know about you. Every single one of my appointments knows that I have 4 kids. They know I've been divorced. They know where I live. They know my kids kayak, right? They know the name of my dog. I mean, they know absolutely everything. And
Adding
that's
on
how
to that really quick,
they
Joe.
build that. Yeah.
When it comes to your background, another good reason you don't want it blurred or anything like that is if you have any human children or fur children and they run up behind you, it's a great way to build rapport.
Yes.
Like I'll be in my appointments and Clyde will come from the other side of the house squeaking his toy and they'll be like, oh, I have a dog too. And they'll show me their dog.
Yeah. When we first went virtual, I was super scared to let my kids come on camera or that they would make noise in the background, right? And it was such a wrong way of thinking. They helped me build so much rapport, right? Like if I'm running an appointment around 5:45, my little 6-year-old gets dropped off here because he goes to karate across the street, but he'll come. I couldn't stop him if I tried. He's going to come and jump into the camera, right? And everyone's like, oh my God, how cute, your kid, right? Like let it build you rapport, right? Your Zoom is going to build so much rapport. Again, if you have animals, same thing, right? Like don't be afraid of noises. Look, we're real people running Zoom appointments from home, right? Like they do not expect silence. That is in your head of you wanted it to be a perfect quiet appointment. That's not the way it works. They want to know that you're a real person and you're going to have so much rapport. So I like it. Step number 4, role and purpose. This one's pretty simple. I love to make sure everyone understands the other role and purpose. So make sure y'all write that down. The other role and purpose. What do I mean by that? If you have the real script, yes, there's a role of purpose inside of the real script. That is not the one I am talking about. Okay, so everybody's got to understand that it's the other role and purpose. It is separate from the real script. We'll post it in here and we'll post it in Band. This one is super important. This is called not kidnapping your client. Okay, and this is called letting them know what's going to happen. How many of y'all have ran an appointment and then at the very end be like, well, I wasn't ready to write an application. I don't do that. I have, right? You're going to get rid of a lot of those with the role and purpose. There's so much science in the role and purpose. What does it sound like? I'm going to go through it really quick. Hey, Amber. And so I finished building rapport and I literally tell them, Amber, let me, right? I know it's getting late, so let me go into the appointment. Let me tell you my role and purpose, Amber. My role and purpose is to simply find you the most amount of coverage for the least amount of premium. The way I get to do that is I work with all the insurance carriers that do the mortgage protection. So I'm going to shop around for you and get you the best options. What I'm going to do in today's appointment is I'm going to verify any health conditions if we do have any, Amber. I'm going to go over your budget a little, not to be nosy, just to make sure it's something you even need, right? I do speak to some families that don't need the coverage, whether they have $1 million in the bank account or a rich uncle. Ha, ha, ha. That's the little joke in there, right? Normally, that's not the case, Amber. So we do find some need for the coverage. What I'm going to do then is I'm going to show you what I see other families do. If you like any of those options, I just simply fill out the application for you online. It's normally going to give me an instant decision for you. That means you're going to be covered as of today, Amber. And then once they approve, right, they draft out of your account, mail you a policy. That sound great? Everyone says great. Everyone says yes. Okay. I'm going to dig a little bit into the science inside of it, because this is, if you're skipping the role and purpose, I promise you, you are losing out on applications. So first of all, it starts with, hey, I'm shopping around for you, right? My job is to find you the most amount of coverage for the least amount of premium. Nowhere in there did it say my job is to pay off your house and get the full coverage. That's not what we do. Our job is to get them the as much, right? The most amount of premium, or the most amount of coverage for the least amount of premium. We get to shop around for you, so I'm going to do that work. Okay. I'm going to verify information. Have you ever run an appointment and they're like, well, why do you need to know my health conditions? Why do you need to ask, right, what's in my 401k? Why do you want to know all this information? This gets rid of all that, because you're, again, the science in it. Hey, I'm going to ask you a couple of health questions, make sure we, right? I'm going to go over your budget a little just to see if it's something you need. And then you take it away by, hey, some folks don't need it. So now they're going to tell you all their information because maybe they don't need it. So now they're okay with telling you what's in their 401k or what's in their bank account or what's in their savings account, right? Hey, if you don't have $1 million and if you don't have a rich uncle, which very few people do, you're probably going to need this coverage. Okay, because most people automatically put themselves into the box that I do need this coverage now. Because you say, hey, do you got $1 million in the bank account? Do you have a rich uncle? And they're like, no. Then most folks don't, and they're going to need some kind of coverage. They're like, okay, I'm in that box, right? Then the next one, I'm going to show you several options that I normally see other families do, right? Nobody wants to get sold. I don't sell anyone. I'm a consultant, right? Based on their age, health, and budget, that's the options we show them. I do not decide term 125, term 100, Eagle Select, accidental. I do not decide that. The client decided that based on their age, health, and budget. Okay. You should never feel bad of like, oh, I need to go, right? I need to go with Eagle Select, or I can't do a term. You had no control over that. Based on their age, health, and budget, that's what you're going to show them, right? So that they have a high probability of getting instantly approved, right? Then, hey, you're going to be able to select several of those options. So now we're telling them they're picking more than one. I'm not writing one app in a home. My goal is to write 4. Whichever ones you like, Amber, I'm going to fill those out today. They're going to give me an instant approval. You're just telling them now we are writing applications today. That one is so important. You got to realize up until right now, they have never heard that you are writing an application today. They got a letter in the mail because they bought a home or refinanced. You called them and booked an appointment. You verified some information. They showed up for the appointment. Nowhere in that process have you told them we're writing an application today. So the role and purpose is vital so you don't kidnap the client, right? So this is where you're telling them, hey, today we're filling out an application if I can get you approved. So super important there. And then the bank information, right? Hey, so Damien, whichever ones you like, once they approve, they're going to draft out of your account and mail you a policy. Now they know that they're going to have to give me bank information, right? Because they're going to draft out of their account. I didn't say they're going to give me a credit card. I didn't say they're going to give me their debit card. They're going to draft out of your account, Damien, and then they're going to mail you your policy. There is so much power in that role and purpose. Do not skip it. That one's super simple. Just make sure you read it. Sound confident. Do not sound like you're asking questions, right? Because you can sound like, well, and then you'll be able to pick a few options if you want. And then I'll write the application. I'm saying the same thing, but it sounds like a question. No, I'm telling them what the process is of the app of today's appointment, right? I'm going to show you a couple of options. You'll be able to pick whichever ones you like, Amber. Once you pick those, I'll fill out that application for you online. It's going to give me an instant decision. If not, it takes a day or 2 to get approved. But once it's approved, they're drafting out of your account, mailing you a policy. Okay.
So what happens when they ask why can't I pay with my credit or debit card?
Nobody asked that. I promise.
I had one ask me like because she couldn't find her. She's one of those people who did not bank online. She did everything through her debit card. She was like, "Why can't I pay my debit card?"
Yep. So make sure you're doing the role and purpose. This is what we're talking about first.
Right.
That way, when we're going into the appointment, they know it's drafting out of their bank accounts, right? And then the few that tell you it's very simple. Hey, They only draft out of your account. They don't do debit
I mean,
cards.
that's what I ended
The
up
reason,
saying.
yeah, all right. And then, hey, the reason they do that is because they want to make sure the policy stays in place. You know how sometimes we change debit cards, they don't want you to accidentally forget that and then your policy lapse. So this is to protect you. So that's my go-to if they ask me that one, Stacy. But very rare, but some folks do say that, right? Where was I? So the role and purpose, make sure you just say it again with confidence. It's going to get rid of a ton of those things. And some folks right there and then are just going to say, yeah, nope, nope, I don't want this. I don't do this. Take it. Okay. Do not spend 30 more minutes running an appointment. They have told you they don't want this. We don't convince anyone. If you are going through the appointment, begging them to go to the next step, guess what that's going to be if you convince them to write an application? It's going to be a chargeback. Okay. You do not want chargebacks. These people want the coverage. Our job is to simply find the ones that want it and get them approved. Role and purpose. Now we'll go into the real script. This is super easy. Write this down. 8 pages away from 100K. 8 pages away from 100K. What do I mean by that? You got to memorize the real script. Best trick I can tell you is read it 100 times. Okay. Listen, we make doctor monies. Doctors go to school and memorize all kind of books for 8 years so that they can go make $200,000 or $300,000. I'm asking you to memorize 8 pages to make $100,000, $200,000, $300,000 on your own pen. Okay. It's not a big ask. Memorize the 8 pages of the real script. Be a professional. You got to go through this. You can make doctor money, but you got to act like a doctor. Okay. The cool part is we don't have $80,000 in debt from school, and we didn't have to go to school for 8 years. Okay. We just had to memorize 8 pages. You are 8 pages away from 100K. And if you really try to see what this puppy can do, you're probably 8 pages away from 300K a year and your own personal pen, but you got to memorize the real script. Stop trying to run appointments winging it. Okay. If you want winging it results, that's what's going to happen. If you want professional results, you got to know your real script. You got to have it memorized. Stop playing around with it. The best way to do it is just read it 100 times. Practice with your spouse, practice with your dog, practice in the mirror. I don't care who you do it with. You just got to go through it like if you're running a real appointment. Take it super serious. Inside the real script, the only part I'm going to dig in is the FIF part. That's the financial information. You need to go through that, and you need to go through it in detail. Right? How much money do you make a month, Amber? What do you do for work? Right? What your mortgage is 2,100. Great. How much, right? If expenses going out, let's dig into that. How much is your electric bill, your car payment, right? That way you're able to say stuff like this. How, Amber, so you got 6,000 coming in, looks like 4,500 going out. So it looks like a 1,500 left over. Is that right? Yes. Great. How much of that 1,500 is going into savings account a month? About 500. Great. Man, if you can find out what they're putting a month away in savings, you almost know that's how much budget you have that's not going to affect their budget to put protection in place. You want to know how much money a month they're putting into their savings account. If they tell me $2,000, in fact, y'all saw that I wrote 6,500 on Tuesday. They were putting $2,500 a month into savings. I found that out. So I gave myself a $500 insurance budget, right? Find out what they're putting into savings. That's gold to find out how much they can actually budget, right? And without changing their budget, right? So make sure you get that number. That's going to give you a really good picture of how you can help them. And then it also allows you to create the why. What do I mean by that? If you're asking the budget questions, if one or the other right people are making a lot more money and the other person's not, that builds the why, so you can ask the question. So the next one, so step number 6 is going to be emotional questions. Step number 6 is emotional questions. So breaking down the budget allows you to say this emotional question. Amber, right, looks like John, right? If he's bringing in 6,000, but his income stops and you're not working, what do you have in place to make sure you don't lose the house? Then get quiet. Well, we really haven't thought about that. No worries. Most families haven't. How does that make you feel? a little unprepared, right? Whatever they're going to tell you. Then you go to the husband. Hey, John, right? So your income stops. I mean, sounds like y'all don't have anything in place. I mean, what do you think? How does that make you feel? These are the most uncomfortable questions. Write this down. My paycheck is determined, right? So my paycheck is determined by the emotional questions that I ask. So if you don't ask any of these questions, you're probably writing small apps, right? We've seen agents write, or I've had people say, hey, how do y'all write these $200-300 applications and mine's are only $30-40? Because right, they're very surface level questions. We ask emotional questions. There's a training out there called emotional labor in Symmetry. So it's called emotional labor. Highly suggest you go listen to it in SoundCloud. We make our money off of emotional art. We're not physical work. It's emotional. We got to draw. We talk about death. We talk about them not being there, right? They're very uncomfortable conversations. We talk about them not being prepared financially, right? For me, that was a big thing, especially being Hispanic, asking another male how much money was in his bank account, how much money we were taught. We were raised to never ask these questions. You don't ask dad how much money's in his bank account or how much money he makes a year, right? We make our money on these questions. So make sure you get comfortable asking these very weird emotional questions. That's how you're going to draw that emotion. Once they tell you, hey, we don't have anything in place, right? With that emotional question, you get to close it with, hey, well, let's do something about that today. That's what I'm here for. I'm going to show you how to make sure that doesn't happen. Right? Esther, you got a question?
Yeah, where's that emotional training in Simpa?
It's in SoundCloud audio, and all you have to do is type in emotional labor. So emotional labor and symmetry, and then it'll pop it up. And there's a ton of SoundCloud audios in there.
So where's SoundCloud audio?
So I'll get to that because we're running out of a little bit of time, but I'll get with you afterwards and I'll show you where that's at. But it's in SoundCloud.
Thanks.
It's an app, right? In case y'all don't know what that is, SoundCloud is an app.
Hey, Joe.
Emotional questions. Yep.
No, just real quick. Sorry, I got a sick kid here. Otherwise, I'd be camera on. For people that are new, when I was new here, again, Mark Schenkel here. You're really nervous to read the script. You probably haven't memorized it. So a great tip that I used is I would say to the folks after we did the chit chat for a couple 5 minutes, hey, Bonnie and Steve, we're going to get started here, but I know you guys are well aware about compliance issues because Steve, you're a truck driver, Bonnie, you're a teacher. Well, there's heavy compliance in insurance, and just want you to know that some of the carriers changed the compliance issues, and it was dropped on me over the weekend. I was with my kids. I wasn't able to get fully up and compliant. So do you guys mind if I just read a compliant script? So we both know that I'm compliant. You mind if I just read the script here? And what do they say? Yes.
I love it. I love it. I actually used that with Jimmy yesterday, Mark, right? We keep it super simple. There's nothing, they don't know that you're reading a script, so let them. It's okay. There's nothing wrong with it, right? So if you don't have it memorized, there is nothing wrong. You've built rapport, you've gone through the role and purpose. Hey, Stacy, I'm just going to go ahead and read my script to make sure I get everything right and I service y'all properly, right? I want to make sure I go through everything for you. So if you see me looking down, I'm just simply reading my script. Boom. Done. Y'all don't have to feel nervous about it. Y'all can literally say it now word for word and get everything taken care of, right? So make sure there is nothing wrong with telling them, hey, I'm just going to go ahead and read through my script. So if you see me looking over here, that's what I'm doing. I just want to make sure I get all the details for you and I do this properly. Everyone says, great, thank you, right? They want to be taken care of. So that thanks for bringing that up, Mark. You literally used that yesterday with Jimmy. I'm like, dude, Mark Schenkel taught us this. Make sure you just tell them you're going to read the script and they are perfectly fine with it. So I love that. Reading through the script, the emotional questions. Number 7. So we're on step number 7. It's going to be keeping it. It's the options. I'm sorry. So step number 7 is options. Okay. Step number 7 is options. This is simple. Keep it simple, please. Okay. First, let's go through names. We do not, when you're showing options, you don't need to tell them it's a Mutual of Omaha, Americo. You don't have to tell them it's Term 125, Living Promise, Eagle Select. Don't give them any insurance lingo. They don't know what these policies are called, right? The accidental is guaranteed advantage. Like, what do you mean guaranteed advantage? What do you mean living promise? What do you mean Eagle Select? Right? You don't need to post none of that on your options. Very simple. And your top option is going to say mortgage protection. On your accidental coverage is going to say accidental mortgage protection. Very simple. Call them programs. You don't have to call them insurance policies, right? You're just going to say, hey, the mortgage protection program, the mortgage protection through an accidental program, right? That's all they need to know. You don't, right? You're going to go into details, but when they're physically seeing it, right? The options, take all that weird stuff off your options. They need to know how much coverage, 250,000, right? For 135 a month. You're going to tell them everything else, but they don't need to see everything else, right? It's just going to confuse them. It's a lot of mumbo jumbo on the paper, right? Or your slides. Keep it super simple and then just explain whatever it is, right? You can go into details what it is, but they don't need to see it physically. It makes it so hard for them to read. You just want the amount of coverage and the payment. That's all you need on the four option or the options that you show, right? Make sure you're showing accidentals. So write this down. Okay. If they're 70 or below, so if they're 70 years or lower, you're going to show them the accidental policy through Mutual of Omaha. Okay. Very important for this note. You need your health license. Okay. If you don't have your health license, highly suggest you get your health license. That is 30% of my business. I'm at $200,000 for the year in premium written. Whatever 30% of that is, $60,000 you are missing if you can't write an accidental. Okay, make sure you go get your health license. If not, you're just literally cutting you 30% of your budget out.
Get the class. Where do we take the class? I was looking for it.
I'll show you. We use Excel solutions.
Excel solutions.
Yep. So, right, we always show accidentals if they're 70 or below. If you don't have your health license for now, you can write Americo and an AMAM. They all have a accidental policy too, but they only go up to the age of 60, and they let you do it with your life license. So that's a fix for now. But the problem is most of our mortgage protection or equity protection clients are 60 and above, right? So it's gonna cut a lot of your business. So make sure you get that. And we're always showing the goal is to write 4 applications for clients, right, per home. So if I have a husband and wife, I want to write an accidental and the mortgage protection option, whether it's final expand, whatever it is, a term, doesn't matter. Per person, I'm writing 2 applications, right? So the husband gets an accidental and the mortgage protection, the wife gets an accidental and a mortgage protection. That's how you see us post 4 applications in a home, right? So I wrote 4 applications for $6,500 on Tuesday. That's how we do that. So keeping it super simple. That's step number 7. Step number 8, the water trick. Okay. How many of y'all have ever gone through the whole appointment and then they tell you, hey, well, we need to think about it. I'll give you a call back. Guess what? Folks need to think about it. It's $300 a month sometimes if you add up all the policies, or $200. It's still a lot of money, right? Make sure you give them time to think about it. So I have now shown you your options, Stacy. So that's how they work. Remember, you can kind of mix or match whichever options you want. I'm going to go ahead and I need to go grab some water really quick, Stacy. This is going to give you some time to think about it. I'll be right back. I'm just going to mute out and I'll be right back. We didn't ask, right? That's the big one. Do not ask. Just literally tell them what's about to happen. Stacy, I've been talking all day. My throat's I'm gonna go get some water real quick. This is gonna give you some time to think about it. Let y'all talk about this real quick. I'll be right back. I'm gonna mute myself and mute yourself and just get up and walk out. Don't give them you're telling them what's the next step. Okay. Let them think about it. It's the coolest thing. When you do that, I mute myself. I don't even go anywhere. I'm just right on the other side of my computer. And you hear them, oh, so which one did you want to do? Well, I don't know. Babe, no, we really need this. I told you we don't have anything. You start hearing all kinds of great golden nuggets that you're going to be able to use right when you get back. Let them think about it. Some of the they need, and then there's it, don't tell them to think about it and mute yourself and stay in front of them. It's just a great little thing that they see you walk away that makes them, that kind of gives them the opportunity to talk in privacy, right? Most of the time they'll mute themselves sometimes too, right? But again, let them feel like they can talk about it. It's super important. And then it's great when you come back, they're like, hey, Stacy, so did you have any questions? And they're like, no. Well, so if we do all four, how much would that be? It's the greatest thing, right? Like come back and say, hey, any questions? Which ones did y'all want to go with? Assume there, if you gotten this far, you're writing apps. Okay. It's very rare if you're not. You should be closing at a 60 to 70% rate if you're on Zoom. It is lower if you're doing it on over the phone, right? That's the water
Can I
trick.
add on to that real quick?
Step
Just
number
because
9.
of the chat.
I wish I could, Brooke, but I'm already pushing time. So I'm gonna say no. So we're gonna be on step number 9. Step number 9 is pull the trigger. Okay. When you come back, a yes doesn't sound like a yes. Okay. They don't always say, yes, I want this one, and this one. They're going to say stuff like, well, I think we can do that. Or that sounds pretty doable. Or I like this one. Right. So they're not going to always tell you just straight up yes. So you got to train yourself to just pull the trigger and write the application. I can't tell you how many appointments we've heard where the agent stopped the application because they said, right, the client says, hey, well, I think we can do that. And then our go-to is, well, did you need me to lower it? Did you need some time to think about it? No, that was a yes. The next, right, if they say, hey, that looks good. Hey, I think we can do that. This would be great. That sounds pretty doable. I think we can figure that out. The next thing out of your mouth, great. I'm starting the application. I'm just going to confirm, right? What's the middle initial of your name? Pull the trigger. Start filling out the application. Okay. You're going to get, and this is huge. You get yeses and sometimes you don't hear them. Okay. And you cancel out your own policies and you make them think about it. Pull the trigger. Just start filling out the application. Okay. Then you can get details. Which one did you want? Right? You said the 200,000. Great. I'm going to start filling that one out. Just pull the trigger and make sure you get that. And it's very rare when a yes is the word yes. Okay. So please hear them when they're saying that. Step number 10 is super easy. It's going to be locking it down. Okay. There's like 3 components to this one. Okay. This is how you finalize an appointment. The first step is locking it down. This is important so that people don't come behind you and rewrite them with something. Okay. There are agents out there that don't practice the best practices. Okay. And they lie to the client to try to get something else. Okay. You need to lock that puppy down. If you've built great rapport, this is going to be super easy. So this is what it sounds like for me. Right. So, hey, John, Amber, right. Let me just go over next steps. Congratulations, you were approved. The first step is I'm going to stop those letters from coming. Right. So I'm going to put a stop. That does take a couple of weeks. So give it a couple of weeks. Just throw the rest in the mail. Okay. If anyone else calls you, Amber, let them know Joe Martinez already took care of you. Okay. If they don't know who I am, because think about that, right? Whoever calls them, they're going to say, I don't know them. So Amber, if they say they don't know who I am, then they're not from this and that you shouldn't be talking to them, right? It could be a scam or something. I just put anyone else that's going to call them into the scam box. The client is instantly, when somebody calls them about this, puts them in the scam box, right? They have way more rapport and trust with me. So make sure y'all say that, right? So Amber, if they call you and they don't know who I am, probably a scam, because if they don't know who I am, right, that you shouldn't be working with them. And they all laugh at it. Oh, we get a lot of those. Perfect. You don't just ignore them, right? No one can come in and out, right, or come in and try to cut my policies out. Hey, if they tell you anything you don't understand, feel free to give me a call back and I'll explain anything. Okay, they're not going to cancel policy. I promise you, they call me before anything else happens. Okay, One of the things I love to teach, if you are scared, when you see your cut, right? If you've written a policy a couple of weeks later or a couple of months later, and you see the client calling you and you're scared to pick up that phone, you didn't lock that puppy down. Okay. I am not scared to pick up the phone. If they're calling me, they need me to make sure their payment went through. They need more coverage, right? If you feel scared because you think they're going to cancel the policy, you didn't do a good job building rapport and locking it down. Okay. That just means you have work to do. I get excited when my clients call me. Okay. That means they want more coverage or they want to make sure the policy is still in place. Okay. That's locking it down on that part. Then I make sure you explain to them what's going to happen. Hey, so after that, right, you're going to get 2 emails. One's the application we filled out, one's the login. You don't need to print it out. You're going to get the policy in the mail, big blue and white envelope, right? All my information's in there. If you need anything, feel free to call me, right? That's how you lock the appointment down and no one comes in behind you. Then the next 2 steps, okay? We call it an ASR, which is an after sale referral. Amber, and just straight up tell them, hey, I also work off of referrals, Amber. If you know anyone that just bought a home just like you, right? We did talk about your sons and your kids, right? If they don't have any coverage, I do everything: life insurance, final expense, burial costs, right? I make sure a family's taken care of in the whole life insurance realm. I even help with retirements. You told me I did this yesterday, right? One of my clients, she had 800,000 in her 401k. Right? Like, hey, I also help with that and protect it so that, right, it doesn't get any more market loss. Go through that whole part. Let them know we do that. And then if you have identified an FIF reset at this point, right? So like mine was a 800,000 401k. If you know they're making overpayments for DFL, if they have just money sitting there, you just book the appointment. The next step is book the appointment. Don't ask them if they want the appointment. Okay. So, hey, the next step, Stacy, is since we did find that for 800,000, the 401k, the next step is to make sure we have you completely covered and taken care of. I have an appointment set up for you. We're looking at tomorrow, 3 o'clock or 4 o'clock, right? I'm going to have Rodney call you, right? They're going to go over, right, how they can make sure that 800,000 is doing its best for you. I'm not asking questions. It is the next step. We just book the FIF reset for whatever you have uncovered, right? If they have overpayments, whatever, it's just, hey, so the next step is, because you are making overpayments, we want to make sure they're going to, right, and they're helping you get out of debt. 3 o'clock tomorrow work for you? And you just book the appointment, okay? And that's all 10. Any questions before we get off? 1 minute, if that. All right. I hope this was super, super helpful. Again, right, don't go change everything. Just make sure, right, some of the key ones, I would say the 3 most important ones are going to be the role and purpose if you're not doing it. Okay. The money inside the real script. And then the water trick. Okay. Those 3 things, I promise you, are huge. If you're not doing those 3 things, those would be the first 3 that I would implement in your appointment. The water trick is insane. You come back and they say yes. Okay. Let them think about it in private for 2 or 3 minutes. Nothing wrong with that. Right. And you're going to come back and they're going to say, yes, I want all 4. So I hope that was super helpful for y'all. And that's all we got.